For centuries, the Galactic Council stood as the voice of peace and unity in a vast and diverse galaxy. Composed of leaders from hundreds of intelligent species, the Council operated from its shining capital on the neutral planet Virix 9. It was here that decisions were made, conflicts were resolved, and diplomacy was practiced above all else. But now, a strange silence filled the council chambers. The room, usually buzzing with calm conversation and quiet debate, was tense. Lights flickered gently above a wide circular hall where representatives from every star system had gathered. Their faces, scaled, furred, metallic, or flesh, reflected the same emotion, confusion and fear. The silence came from one place. Earth. Without warning, Earth had severed all communication with the Council. Their planetary embassy had been abandoned. Earth's representatives had gone dark. No replies to messages, no signs of distress. Just nothing. The last contact had been 3 days ago. A short, cryptic message. "This is our final transmission. Do not follow. Earth is now closed." The Council had never seen anything like it. One of the councillors, a tall insectoid from the planet Threx, clicked its mandibles anxiously. "This is an act of aggression," it hissed. "We must respond. Earth may be preparing for war." A reptilian delegate from Carthus pounded a scaled fist on the table. "We gave humans a seat at this council. We shared knowledge, technology, protection, and now they turn their backs on us." Murmurs of agreement filled the chamber. Some called for sanctions. Others whispered about preemptive action. The idea of a galactic war frightened everyone, but fear often led to rash decisions. Then a calm voice cut through the noise. "We don't know why Earth went silent," said Lyra Solon, standing tall at the center of the hall. She was the Council's youngest diplomat, only 32 standard years old. Her skin was smooth and pale blue, her eyes calm and observant. She wore the simple grey robes of the Cyran people, a race known for logic and peacekeeping. "We have assumptions," Lyra continued, "but no facts. Earth may be scared. They may be reacting to something they found, or something they fear. If we rush to punish them, we risk pushing them further away, or worse, into open conflict." The council chamber quieted. Lyra's voice had a steady weight. She was not loud, but she spoke with reason. "What do you suggest, Diplomat Solon?" asked the High Chairwoman, a machine-like being named Arix of the Sintai. "I'll go to Earth," Lyra said simply. "Not as a spy, as a diplomat. Let me learn the truth before we make a mistake we can't undo." Shock rippled across the chamber. "Impossible," growled the Carthus delegate. "Earth's orbit is shielded. Their defense systems are already online. No one gets in or out." Lyra remained still. "I'll find a way. I know their systems. I studied human culture for 8 years. If anyone can reach them without triggering a fight, it's me." The council debated for hours. Some argued it was too dangerous. Others feared that Earth's silence was already a declaration of war. But slowly, reason began to win. In the end, the High Chairwoman gave a reluctant nod. "You have 3 cycles," she said. "If you're not back or we hear nothing, we proceed with a full security response." "Understood." Lyra bowed her head. "Understood." That night, she returned to her private quarters overlooking the gleaming cityscape of Virix 9. Tall spires of light reached into the purple sky. Ships crossed between moons in smooth, silent lines. But Lyra's mind was heavy. She looked at the small screen in her hand. It held an old photo, Earth's last delegation to the Council, standing beside her, smiling, hopeful. "What happened to you?" she whispered. The next morning, before the twin suns rose, she boarded a small stealth ship. Only 3 people knew of her departure. The Council had agreed to keep her mission secret, in case Earth really had become hostile. As the ship pulled away from Virix 9 and into the cold dark of space, Lyra looked out the window at the stars. One of them was Earth, and it was no longer answering. Lyra Solon sat quietly in the command seat of the small stealth vessel, Orion's Whisper, as it drifted through the quiet dark between stars. The ship was no larger than a transport shuttle, built for speed and stealth rather than comfort. Its walls were tight, the controls minimal, but its cloaking systems were advanced, old tech modified with Earth's own designs before the blackout. She had left Virix 9 under the cover of night, with only a few trusted officials aware of her mission. Officially, she was on leave. In truth, she was flying straight into the most dangerous place in the galaxy, Earth's orbit. The silence of the ship pressed in on her. No crew, no co-pilot, just her and the stars. She spent most of the journey studying Earth's last transmissions. Words filled with tension, frustration, and confusion. Over time, Earth's tone had changed. Messages once filled with curiosity and cooperation had grown colder, more defensive. The last recorded statement still echoed in her mind. Do not follow. Earth is now closed. But Lyra had no choice. She had to follow. Too much was at risk. After a day in hyperspace, the ship reached the Sol system. The familiar sight of Earth's sun greeted her, bright and burning. Then came the planets Mars, scarred and red, Jupiter, enormous and swirling, and finally Earth blue-green and wrapped in white clouds. But this Earth was not welcoming. As soon as the ship neared orbit, alarms flashed across the control panel. The planet's orbital defense grid had locked on. Dozens of satellites, each armed with tracking lasers and electromagnetic jammers, scanned for intruders. Lyra slowed her ship, engaging the stealth shield. Just like the simulations, she whispered, steadying her breath. Don't be seen, don't be heard. She flew low, ducking beneath satellite patterns, following a hidden path in Earth's southern hemisphere. The last known safe approach, based on old Alliance data, ran near the Antarctic region. If it hadn't been updated, she had a chance. But as she maneuvered, a warning blinked red. Unidentified vessel approaching fast. A sleek black interceptor appeared behind her, faster than she could outrun. Lyra cursed under her breath. Earth's defense force had improved. They weren't just waiting, they were patrolling. A voice crackled over an open channel. Unregistered ship. Identify yourself or be disabled. Lyra stayed silent, hoping the stealth held, but the ship didn't fire. Instead, it matched her speed and released a small pod. The pod clamped onto her hull. There was a sharp hum, then darkness. Her systems shut down. The lights blinked out. The engines went cold. She had been caught. When Lyra opened her eyes, she was in a dark room. Metal walls, no windows, a faint hum of power in the air. She was strapped into a chair, not painfully, but firmly. Her wrists rested on a padded surface, her ankles fixed. The door opened with a hiss. A man stepped in, human, mid-40s, tall, stern, with short grey hair and eyes sharp like cold steel. Lyra Solon, he said without emotion. I thought it might be you. She recognized him at once. Director Hale Voss, the head of Earth's Global Unity Command, the single governing body that had replaced all Earth's divided nations years ago. He was a powerful figure, but one who had rarely shown himself during diplomatic meetings. He preferred to operate from the shadows. You shut down our ship, Lyra said calmly. I came unarmed, as a diplomat. There is no diplomacy now, Hale replied. You were warned not to come. I came because silence leads to war, she said, and because I believe you're not telling the galaxy the whole truth. Hale looked at her for a long moment. Then he sat across from her. You want the truth? He asked. Fine. The truth is this. The Galactic Council has been lying. For decades they've been guiding humanity, shaping us through genetic tweaks, hidden in medicine, in tech, subtle changes, small shifts. A new generation of humans born more agreeable, less independent, more loyal to Council ideals. Lyra blinked. That's a serious accusation. I have proof, he said. The Council sees us as unpredictable, dangerous. They wanted to tame us, like pets. That doesn't make this isolation right, she replied. If there's truth to what you say, we need to expose it together, not hide here and wait for war. Hale stood. You still think this is about diplomacy? It's not, it's survival. He left the room without another word. The door closed behind him. Lyra sat alone, the weight of his words heavy in her mind. Could the council really have done such a thing? She didn't want to believe it, but she also knew Hale Voss was not a man who spoke without reason. If he had proof, then something terrible had been buried deep, and Earth had uncovered it. She stared at the cold metal ceiling and whispered, "This isn't just about silence anymore, it's about secrets." The walls of Lyra's holding cell were smooth, grey and cold. There were no windows, no screens and no sounds, except the low hum of recycled air. Time moved slowly in this place. She didn't know if it was night or day, or how long she had been there, but she didn't panic. Lyra was trained to remain calm under pressure. She used the silence to think. Director Hale Voss's words still echoed in her mind. "The council has been guiding you, shaping you. They wanted to tame us, like pets." If he was right, if the council had truly interfered with human evolution, it was one of the greatest betrayals in galactic history. But she had no proof, just his word. The door finally opened with a slow hiss. A guard stepped in, tall and armored in dark grey. He motioned for her to follow. She was escorted down a clean, narrow hallway. Security cameras tracked her every step. Lyra said nothing. She knew Earth's leaders wanted to make her feel watched, small and powerless. At the end of the hall stood a wide metal door. It opened into a large room with glass walls, bright lighting, and a long table in the center. Director Hale was already there, standing beside a display screen. He wore a plain black uniform, no medals or marks, just a small badge with Earth's emblem, a pale blue circle, now surrounded by protective shields. "Sit," he said. Lyra obeyed. Her hands rested calmly on the table. She kept her posture straight. "This is a debrief," Hale said, "not a negotiation. Listen, and try to understand before you speak." The screen behind him lit up, showing medical files, DNA charts, and council records. Lyra's eyes widened. Some of the files were classified, meant only for high-ranking council members. Yet here they were, scrolling freely. Hale tapped a section of the screen. "See this? These are genetic markers. They were added to Earth vaccines 20 years ago, distributed through council health programs. The changes are small, barely noticeable, but over time they shape brain chemistry, lower aggression, increase compliance." Lyra leaned forward. "Where did you get these files?" Hale narrowed his eyes. "A human scientist named Dr. Alina Merrow worked on the original programs. She thought it was just medical enhancement, but she noticed patterns in the updates. When she started asking questions, she disappeared. We found her notes hidden in an old lab near Lunar Base." He pulled up another image, a video log. A woman with tired eyes speaking in a hushed voice. "They think they're helping, but they're changing who we are. We're not evolving, we're being edited." The video ended. Silence hung between them. Lyra's voice was steady. "This is serious. If it's true, then it must be brought to light. But cutting off the galaxy isn't the answer." Hale shook his head. "You still don't get it. The council didn't just betray us. They feared us. They feared what humanity could become. That's why they acted first." "You say that like war is the only path forward." "It may be," Hale said coldly. "But we're not launching first. We're defending. If the council comes for us, we'll be ready." Lyra stood slowly. "I came here to prevent war, not watch it happen. If you care about the truth, help me take this to the council. Let them answer for what they did." Hale didn't answer. He turned and walked toward the door. Before leaving, he spoke quietly, almost like an afterthought. "You're not a prisoner. You're just stuck. For now." Then he was gone. Later that night, Lyra was returned to her cell, but this time she wasn't alone. A soft knock on the wall behind her bed startled her. She pressed her ear against it. "Lyra," a voice whispered. "It's me, Jace." Her eyes widened. "Jace," the voice replied. "I never left Earth. I've been in hiding since they grounded my shuttle. I heard you were captured. I'm in the next cell. There's a passage behind the wall, old maintenance shaft. I can get it open." Lyra felt hope spark in her chest. Jace was a former human ambassador who had defected just before the blackout. She had trusted him once. She had to trust him again. "Do you still have access to the archives?" she asked. "Some," he replied. "Not much, but enough. I've been trying to piece things together. Hale's right about some things, but he's hiding parts of the truth too." "What do you mean?" "I think Hale found something in the Council data, something about a threat, but he won't tell anyone, not even his own officers." Lyra's voice dropped low. "Then we need to find out. Can you get me out?" "Give me one night," Jace whispered. "Then we move." Lyra stepped back from the wall. Her heart beat faster now, not from fear but from purpose. There were still too many questions. Who was telling the full truth, if anyone? Had the Council manipulated humanity? Was Hale protecting Earth, or using fear to control it? And what was this unknown threat hidden in the data? Only one thing was clear: the answers were on Earth, and she had to find them. Night fell quietly over Earth's southern military compound. The sky above was clear and dark, filled with stars that sparkled beyond the planet's protective shield. Inside the underground facility, Lyra Solon stood beside the metal wall in her cell, waiting. She had not slept. Her body ached, but her mind stayed alert. Then, a low clunk. The wall shifted slightly. A panel slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a narrow tunnel barely large enough to crawl through. On the other side, a pair of familiar eyes looked at her. "Jace, come quickly," he whispered. Lyra didn't hesitate. She climbed into the dark shaft, pulling the panel closed behind her. The crawl space was tight and dusty, its metal walls cold against her skin. They moved silently through the maze of forgotten vents and access paths beneath the base. Jace knew every turn. "Where are we going?" she whispered. "The South Archive Room," Jace replied. "Still active but not connected to the central network. It's the only place Hale hasn't fully locked down. I've been using it to gather old files, things the director didn't want others to see." They reached a small maintenance door. Jace typed in a short access code, and the door slid open. The archive room was dimly lit, filled with rows of databanks and old consoles humming quietly. Thick glass screens lined the far wall, flickering with faint blue light. Jace motioned toward a terminal. "Start here. Search for the early Council medical programs, especially the ones linked to Project Harmony." Lyra sat down and began typing. The system responded slowly, as if unused for years. Lines of data appeared on the screen: research logs, communication records, and encrypted files. She searched deeper, narrowing her filters. Suddenly a folder appeared. Project Harmony, experimental phase logs. She opened it. The contents were disturbing. Years ago, the Council had proposed a peaceful initiative to support and stabilize emotionally volatile species. Earth had been the pilot program. The idea was simple: small adjustments through widely distributed vaccines designed to reduce extreme emotional spikes. According to the notes, the project was approved secretly by a small faction of Council leaders, never presented for public vote. Initial tests show a 7.4% reduction in aggressive behavior. One log read, "Subjects unaware of neurological modification. Civil behavior increasing." Lyra's hands trembled slightly. It was true. The Council had interfered, not to control but to reduce violence. And yet, there were other files. She found a memo flagged with red security clearance. It was written by a Council intelligence agent, warning that humans were developing a new kind of artificial intelligence capable of self-learning and long-range planetary defense coordination. The agent believed the AI project, called Sentinel Core, could one day make Earth untouchable. That's when the Council began Project Harmony. "This wasn't just about peace," Lyra said quietly. "They were scared." Jace nodded grimly. "They didn't know how to stop Earth's rise, so they chose to reshape it quietly. But this isn't the full truth," Lyra said. "It's one piece. Hale must have the rest." Jace looked at her. "Then we confront him. Together." They left the archive room carefully, using back routes and storage corridors to reach the command level. Jace led them to a viewing platform above the main control center. From here they saw Hale standing below, speaking with senior officers. Council fleet movement has increased, one officer reported. They're likely preparing a vote. They won't wait much longer, Hale said. If they don't hear from us, they'll assume we're hostile. Hale looked up suddenly, locking eyes with Lyra through the glass. She didn't hide. She stepped forward, pressing the panel to open the access door. Alarms didn't sound. Hale had disabled them, or perhaps he had expected her return. Moments later, they stood face to face again in the center of the command floor. You escaped, Hale said calmly. I assume Jace helped you. I didn't escape, Lyra said. I found the truth, and so did he. She tossed a data pad onto the table. You were right about the council, but you didn't tell your people everything. You didn't tell them that Earth's own AI project frightened the galaxy first. You didn't tell them that Sentinel Core made the council act in fear. Hale picked up the pad and read it. His face didn't change. They wouldn't have understood, he said. You mean they would have asked questions? Lyra replied. The room grew quiet. Lyra stepped forward. I'm not defending the council. They crossed a line. But silence and fear won't solve this. If you keep Earth in the dark, you're doing the same thing they did. You're choosing control over trust. Hale stared at her for a long moment. His jaw tightened. They'll never forgive us, he said. And we'll never forgive them. Maybe, Lyra said. But peace isn't about forgiveness. It's about choosing a path that avoids war, even when you're angry, even when you're hurt. She held out her hand. Come with me to the council. Show them what you found. Make them answer for what they did. But do it the right way. Hale's eyes flickered to the large screen behind her. It showed a map of council fleet movements. Dozens of ships now gathering near Earth's sector. Time was running out. Finally he spoke. I'll go, but not to ask for peace, to demand answers. That's all I ask, Lyra said softly. Hale nodded once. Prepare a ship. We leave by dawn. As the base returned to a quiet hum, Lyra allowed herself a single breath of relief. The truth was out, but the hardest part was still ahead. The ship left Earth's surface just before dawn. The sky was a soft gray, clouds glowing faintly as the first light touched the horizon. Inside the vessel, Lyra Solon stood at the front viewing port, her eyes focused on the stars beyond the atmosphere. Beside her stood Director Hale Voss, silent and grim. Neither spoke for the first part of the journey. The ship, a diplomatic-class cruiser once used for council envoys, cut through space with ease. It carried a signal that identified it as peaceful, although no one could be sure how the Galactic Council would respond. Earth had gone silent for weeks. Now, with ships moving into position near the Sol system, tension was high. One wrong move could start a war. Lyra reviewed the files again. She had organized the evidence clearly: proof of Project Harmony, the Council's unauthorized genetic adjustments, and Earth's Sentinel Core program. The truth was complex. Both sides had acted out of fear. Hale stood at the back of the room, arms crossed. They won't accept this easily, he said at last. Lyra nodded. They won't, but they'll listen. They have to. He looked at her. If they don't, Earth won't bend. Not this time. She turned to face him. Then say what must be said, but choose your words with care. One voice can either start a war or stop one. The ship emerged from hyperspace near Virex 9, the central planet of the Galactic Council. The capital world glowed with rings of light, orbiting satellites, and a long network of peace stations. But this time, the defense grid was active. Patrol ships surrounded the system like a shield. A warning came over the ship's comms. Unknown vessel approaching. Identify and state purpose. Lyra stepped forward. This is Diplomat. Lyra Solon, Council ID 42 Beta. I am returning with Director Hale Voss of Earth. We request immediate audience with the High Council. There was a pause. Then came the reply. Approach allowed. You will be escorted. Any deviation will be considered hostile. 2 Council ships flanked them, guiding their vessel through a tunnel of moving stations. As they landed on the platform, Lyra's heart beat faster. The chamber ahead, the Grand Hall, was where galactic laws were shaped, where war and peace were debated. She and Hale entered the council hall together. The chamber was full. Representatives from across the galaxy sat in curved rows, watching silently as the two humans walked to the center. Above them, the High Chairwoman, RX of the Sintai, looked down with her glowing artificial eyes. "You were not expected," she said coldly. "Earth severed ties. Earth threatened silence. We came to break that silence," Lyra replied calmly, "and to reveal the truth." RX nodded once. "Then speak, but be warned, this council is ready to vote on Earth's status. You are one breath from being declared a galactic threat." Lyra activated the display device she had brought. A large image filled the air, a rotating map of Earth, its defenses marked, its data archives highlighted. "This is what we found," she began. 2 decades ago, the Council initiated a program called Project Harmony. Without a full vote, a select group of leaders approved biological adjustments to Earth's population. These changes were meant to lower aggression and improve compliance. These were made through medical aid and vaccine programs. No consent was given. No warning was offered. A low murmur ran through the chamber. Lyra continued. "In response, Earth shut its doors. Director Hale Voss discovered these files, but instead of retaliating, he waited. He built defenses, and he kept Earth isolated, not to wage war, but to protect it from what he believed was a threat." She stepped back. "We present this evidence to you now, not to excuse Earth's silence, but to demand accountability." RX turned her gaze to Hale. "Director Voss, you have been silent until now. Do you have anything to say?" Hale stepped forward. His voice was strong, but measured. "The Council betrayed humanity. You feared what we might become, so you tried to shape us, quietly, without asking. That ends now." He paused. "But I am not here to beg. I am not here to apologize for Earth's strength. I came to show you that Earth will never be tamed, and will never be silenced again." The silence in the chamber was thick. Then RX spoke. "What do you want, Director?" Hale answered without hesitation. "A full investigation, public, transparent. Let the galaxy see what was done, not only to Earth, but possibly to others." Lyra added, "And until the investigation is complete, Earth must not be treated as a hostile power. We stand here in peace." The Council debated for hours. Some delegates demanded immediate action against Earth. Others admitted their shock at the evidence. A few, like the representative from the water world of Nyx, wept quietly as they read the logs. Finally, the vote was called. The chamber fell silent again, as a holographic display counted each vote. One by one, the lights glowed. Yes, yes, no, yes, yes, no, yes. When the final light flashed green, RX stood. "The Council votes in favor of a full investigation. No military action will be taken. Earth's diplomatic status will be restored, under close observation." Lyra exhaled for the first time in hours. Hale gave a short nod. As they left the chamber, side by side, RX's voice followed them. "We chose fear once. Let us not choose it again." Outside the hall, the sky over Virex 9 was dark, but calm. For the first time in weeks, Lyra looked up at the stars and felt hope. The galaxy had stepped back from the edge, but only just. The sun was rising over Virex 9 as the diplomatic vessel prepared for departure. Pale golden light spread across the silver towers and smooth glass walkways of the Galactic Council's capital. From the balcony of the Council's observation deck, Lyra Solon stood alone watching the city wake. Below her, Council members and assistants moved through the plaza. Discussions still echoed from the historic vote the night before. Word was spreading across the galaxy. Earth had returned, but not as a servant, as a sovereign force demanding justice. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, letting the cool morning air touch her face. The battle was not won, but war had been delayed. And in that pause, there was still a chance for healing. Footsteps approached behind her. "You're up early," said Hale Voss. Lyra turned slightly. "Couldn't sleep." Hale stood beside her, arms behind his back. His face, as always, was unreadable, but the sharpness in his voice had softened. "They'll keep watching us," he said. "Every move Earth makes." "They should," Lyra replied. "So should we. The Council made mistakes, but Earth's silence nearly pushed us all into chaos." Hale nodded. I won't pretend I regret building the shields or standing ready. But, she asked. He looked at her, calm and quiet. But I see now that truth needs sunlight, not walls. They left the balcony and walked toward the council chamber one last time. Inside, a formal statement was read aloud before a full assembly. The council had begun a full investigation into Project Harmony. The secret program had not only affected Earth, it had touched 2 other member worlds in lesser degrees. The public outcry was growing, transparency measures were already in place, and a new voting law was proposed. No cross-species intervention without full council approval. It was a small beginning, but an honest one. As part of the agreement, Earth's diplomatic status was restored. It would remain under observation for a cycle, but its autonomy was protected. Trade channels would slowly reopen. No military action would be taken unless Earth gave cause. At the end of the session, the High Chairwoman addressed the floor. Fear shaped our past, Eric said, her mechanical voice soft but steady. May truth shape our future. After the meeting, Lyra was approached by multiple representatives, some offering gratitude, others offering apologies. But she didn't linger. She had one last stop. The old Earth embassy on Virex 9 had been sealed for weeks. Dust covered the windows. Lights inside flickered weakly. Lyra stepped through the quiet halls and paused before a door labeled Office of Earth Liaison. Her name had already been added beneath the title. She stepped inside. The room was small, with a wide desk and a circular window looking out at the stars. A single console blinked, waiting for its first message. Lyra sat down and activated the system. Across the galaxy, leaders were watching. So were ordinary people, from the jungle domes of Avenari to the ice tunnels of Valos. They waited to hear what the humans would say next. She leaned forward and recorded the first message. To all Council worlds, this is Lyra Solon, appointed liaison of Earth and representative of peace. We cannot erase what was done. We cannot forget the silence or the fear. But we can begin again, with truth. With questions instead of weapons, with understanding instead of control. Earth will not hide. Earth will not be shaped. But Earth will speak, and I will be its voice. She sent the message. Behind her, Hale stepped into the doorway. I suppose this is where we part, he said. For now, Lyra replied. He looked at her one last time. Don't let them bury the truth. Not this time. She smiled faintly. Only if you promise not to run from it. He nodded, turned, and left. Later that evening, the stars outside her window seemed brighter. Lyra watched them in silence, thinking about everything that had been lost, and everything that might still be saved. The galaxy was still fragile, but now it had a choice.